Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is how to choose the perfect hospital for you in Poland. Hi beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Patsy and I make content around motherhood, travel, culture, and every mashup in between. Lesson 3. If you're pregnant and you live here, you already know how confusing this might be, especially with the language barrier, and I hope after today's video you'll be able to figure out how you're able to pick the right hospital for you. I'll also be sharing raw and unfiltered stories from other mothers who have given birth here in Poland, in Warsaw, specifically foreign moms, so that you can be able to compare and hear real life stories and choose what exactly you're gonna go with. Today will be unfiltered and honest, and I hope you'll be able to feel comfortable enough to pick a right and safe space for you to give birth. Our first step is to identify which type of hospital you want. We know that not just in Poland but worldwide we have public hospitals and private hospitals. For Poland specifically, we know that in public hospitals, if your NFZ are up to date, you can be able to use it for free. Otherwise, you'll be billed for the services that you receive. And we also have private hospitals. So both hospitals, you get to have good midwives and you get to have good experience or good care as well. But one thing to note that in most private hospitals, you are generally able to find English speaking doctors if you want, and also in public hospitals you're able to find English speaking doctors, other French, German, it's like a wide variety that is available for you. You have to remember that in some private hospitals you can be able to pay with your insurance, or you have to pay out of pocket, as compared to NFZ where you're covered under NFZ, or if you're not covered, you have to pay out of pocket. There are other key factors that you also need to consider when you want to pick your hospital, apart from it being a private or public hospital, which are the location and distance from where you live. You want to pick a hospital that is close to you and that is near, or that is accessible, that you can be able to reach it immediately you start feeling your contractions. Next, you have to check the registration requirements. In that, you have to know what is needed for registration, if you need to book prior in advance, or you can just walk into the hospital and you can be able to give birth. For registration, you also need to ensure that you have your IDs valid. You also have to make sure if you're using a private hospital, your insurance is valid. And if you're using NFZ, you're up to date and you have the documentation that shows that you have been paying your NFZ. That is, in most cases, it's just PESEL. Next, we're going to talk about language. So in language, you have to make sure that the hospital has English speaking staff, or alternatively, some hospitals have coordinators who are specifically there to help foreigners. Mostly you will find this in private hospitals, but we also have public hospitals that have these people who help you. Alternatively, you might want to make sure that this hospital is able to accept midwives or doulas that are privately booked. That is, if you want a midwife and a doula who speak English, you can be able to use them in this hospital, or you can be able to get them from this hospital and book them privately. Next, you want to check labor and delivery rooms, how they look like, if they have space for you to walk around, if they have balls for you to exercise, if they are single or they're double. Like, these are things that you need to check, and you need to make sure that you're comfortable with how these delivery rooms look like. So I just like to mention, most hospitals have days where you can go and just tour the hospitals and see how they are, and see the birthing center. That is mostly once per month in Jalazna, that's for sure. I don't know about other hospitals, but you also need to make sure you find out before you make your pick. Another thing is you need to check if the hospital has partner-friendly policies. That is, can your partner stay with you? Can your family stay with you, both during delivery, before delivery, and even after delivery, while you're getting well and while you're taking care of the baby? You also need to check if this comes at an extra cost or if it's free, because we have some hospitals where you have to book such a room privately and you pay for it, and some it's easily accessible, especially if it's hospital that only has single rooms where patients are taken after giving birth. Then possibility is you can have your partner or your family staying with you to help you. This takes us to our next option, which is the postpartum rooms. You also need to check if the postpartum rooms they offer are single rooms, or they're rooms with private bathrooms, or their private rooms, or their rooms with shared bathrooms across the whole. These are very important information, because you have to choose what makes you comfortable. So this is something else that you need to make sure that you've checked as you're checking out your hospital. The other one, you need to check if it has the neonatal medical support. If you're experiencing a high risk pregnancy, you need to also ensure that you check if it has a good neonatal care facility. And this can only be done if you research or if you go and visit the hospital, so that you're sure that in case of anything, your baby will be well taken care of and you'll be able to have a safe and relieving stay there. You also want to check the hospital philosophy and approach. What do I mean by this? I mean, some hospitals really advocate for natural birth, i.e., no painkillers, no nothing. And some hospitals advocate for supportive birth, i.e., epidurals and all that. They really advocate for CS. You can book a CS in advance. So you need to be very sure that the hospital you're checking aligns with exactly what you want. For example, if you want just natural birth, you don't want to use inducement or whatever, you want to check a hospital that will give you options that are wayward to your plans. But if you're someone who's like me, who is like, you know what, I need every painkiller available, you have to check a hospital that also supports and encourages supportive measures while giving birth. And last but not least, you need to check reviews from other moms. Go to Facebook, go to Google, type in that hospital that you want to give birth to, and make sure you check reviews so that you know how do they treat patients. For example, as a foreigner, you'll see reviews from other foreigners. How are they treated? How do they answer to emergency? How was the birthing experience? This is very important because it helps to ease your mind as you prepare yourself to give birth and bring new life into the world. So from what we have discussed right now, I'm going to give you a step-by-step approach on how to compare hospitals. So for starters, we're going to make a list of 3 to 4 hospitals that are near you. That is, you can check near your location, or if you're planning to give birth in a different city, near the location of where you plan to give birth. Step 2 is to visit their maternity website page. And most of these pages have very detailed information on what you need to carry and exactly what they expect from you as a mom to be. Step 3 is you need to see if the hospital offers tours or open days. For example, like I mentioned, Zalezna, I'm sure it does once per month in English. You also need to make sure that you're checking these tours in English so that you don't end up looking for tours in Polish and you don't understand the language. Number 4 is you can ask your midwife or doctor for recommendations. I did ask my doula and my doctor for recommendations, and luckily we were all in line with the hospital that I really wanted to give birth. At some point, I think I had narrowed it down to 2, but my heart was strongly with one, and that's the same place my midwife, my doula, and my doctor advised me and advocated for. Step 5 is you need to check the social media and just see what are the maternity ward updates, what are the room and staff information, what are the reviews that are there. And step 6, which is the most important, choose a hospital based on your priorities, your comfort, your language, the facility distance, and the philosophy of the hospital, in that you are ready to experience whatever options they give you. If you want water bath, you need to make sure you choose facilities that have this option. If you want a natural bath, you need to make sure you choose facilities that have specifically delivery rooms which looks like a home. Literally, it has a chair, sitting room, and everything. They're all available in Poland. At least in Warsaw, I know Zalazna and Madaleńskiego have these natural bath homes, and they also have water bath, if I'm not wrong. So not every hospital has this option, so you also need to make sure they align with what exactly you want to experience. Just to share my personal experience, for me, what mattered the most was communication, and I was really looking for a hospital that has English speaking staff, because honestly, I didn't know any inch of Polish. I tried learning the basic words, but I could not. By the time I was almost giving birth, I could not. So one was communication. Number 2 was I wanted somewhere with water bath. Let me tell you, if that succeeded, no one would have rested. I really wanted water bath. In my mind, I then envisioned it, and I was like, so for me, I had to choose a facility that had that as well. And also, I was looking at a facility which is friendly in terms of supportive aid. That is, I was really open and wanted to do water bath, but just in case I had any complications, I wanted a facility which won't waste time in giving me a quicker option, quicker supportive option. For example, if it's an instant CS or whatever, I never wanted a hospital that is so anti-CS that my health might be in danger, but they're not really acting, because they're such. I don't know them, but I'm sure they're out there. So for me, this was very important. I wanted something that supports both natural and supportive. And as I was doing my research, Zalajna was the best fit. It ticked all my boxes, and that is what I went with. So now I'll share about the real bad experiences that I received as feedback from my friends when I asked them what was their experience like and How was it in terms of language barrier? So I'm just going to read down what they told me. So you'll see me with another phone. And I promise you, these responses were incredibly honest, diverse, and so emotional. And I hope it will help you make decisions based on real stories. I'll also make sure that I link all these hospitals that are shared by these moms into the description box, so they'll have a link to either the website or the location of the hospital, and in case you need more information, you have a starting point. I'll start with the first mom who told me she gave birth at the University Center for Women and Newborn Health at the Medical University of Warsaw. So according to her, experience was excellent, very smooth, and it was entirely in English. So she simply walked in, she did not have to do any prior registration, and everything was fine and perfect. Our second mom shared that she gave birth in a hospital in Piaseczno. So if you live in Warsaw, Piaseczno is slightly on the outskirts of Warsaw, but it's still part of Warsaw. So she gave birth in St. Anne's Hospital in Piaseczno. And even though she had registered somewhere else, hers was more of an instant labor. So the ambulance took her to the nearest hospital that was there. And she says that the service was equally good. Very few doctors spoke English. And she gives us a funny story that at one point the midwife kept speaking in Polish and tapping her leg to guide her to push. But eventually they called an English speaking doctor and everything was good, although she had to end up in an emergency C-section. So our third mom gave birth in Warszawski Szpital Pudnia. That is the southern hospital. Sorry, I might mention some in English, some in Polish, but I'll give a translation of both. So she says that she'll give birth there 100 times again. Whoa! 1 to 100. So she says she simply walked in there and the staff spoke in English and sometimes they will use Google Translate. And because she's from a French speaking country, she says that at some point she got help from someone who was speaking in French, which was fine for her because she understood French. So her labor was long and her labor was a whole story, which was very raw. So I'll just skip to the section where she says she had an emergency C-section as well because the heartbeat of their baby grew lower. So we have another mom who gave birth in the Institute of Mother and Child. What is it called in Polish? Instytuta Matki i Dziecka, something like that. I hope I did not butcher that. So this mom says she had a high risk pregnancy, so for her, the neonatal care was very important for consideration. And she said she had a very excellent stay and the experience was very excellent and her baby was very safe in their hands. She also says that most doctors here spoke English and the nurses, it was more of a mix. Some spoke English and some did not, but generally her experience was also good. So we have another mom who also delivered at the University of Warsaw, which also belongs to the Medical University of Warsaw. So her, she says simply, her experience was the best ever. Almost everyone she met, doctors and midwives, everyone spoke English, and she simply walked in when she was in labor, and the hospital confirmed she didn't need to register in advance. So far, we have 5 hospitals in Warsaw. Then the next one, we have my friend who gave birth in Madalińskiego. I have a personal story about Madalińskiego because when I was a few weeks pregnant, I started having spotting, and I was in my friend's place, which was literally 500 meters from Madalińskiego. So the first place we had to rush in was at Madalińskiego, and I really got an English-speaking doctor who helped me. My friend Hash gave birth here, so I've never been to Madalińskiego after that experience until when after my baby was born. So I can't really talk much of it, but she says that the staff were very kind, but the midwife didn't speak English. So for her, I literally asked her, like, how are you guys communicating? Because hers was more of a natural birth, and she says she was just talking in her mother tongue until at some point they had to bring an interpreter, and the staff started telling her, foo, 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 foo. I can laugh because I was not there, so I don't know the experience, but this was so funny. So, but she says eventually they had to get her a translator, and she says for her the food there was so amazing. 3 days, 3 meals a day plus fruits and a complimentary birth package. The seventh mom was a mom who delivered 2 babies, and this was at Szpital Karova. And she only has positive things to say about this hospital. She says not everyone spoke English, but most people did, and there's always someone available to help. Overall, she felt very safe and very supported, which is very important. I told you about my own experience, and I hope that all these experiences will help you in making a decision. And I also want to mention that most hospitals will give you a package once you've given birth. At least I got that. The package might vary. Some might give you a whole box of diapers, some might give you like 2 pieces, like It just varies, but you always get gifts from the hospitals. And I think I'll talk about this in another video, and I'm giving what's the reward for being a mom. There are a lot of rewards, both monetary and gift wise. Ooh, there's a lot in Poland, but most hospitals give gifts. And I wanted to say that in case it's an emergency labor and you're far from your hospital, please do not be afraid to call the ambulance, because we need you alive, we need baby alive, and it doesn't matter if your plan might be disrupted a little bit because probably the hospital is further. Just make sure you get urgent help that you need so that baby is able to arrive here safely. And I also want to mention another interesting fact that I realized, which is birth tourism. That is, you don't have to live in Warsaw to give birth in Warsaw. We have some people who choose hospitals in Warsaw because they feel like they align with what exactly they want to experience, and then they will come here, either live with relatives or book an Airbnb for their duration until they're almost, like, for almost a few days or a few weeks or a month before their due date. Then they'll give birth here, and then after they've slightly recovered, they'll go back to their cities. This mostly happens to people who don't really live in Warsaw. It's not birth tourism really, but it's something close to that, whereby if you find that you're not comfortable with the environment you're in, maybe you live in a village whereby it's impossible to get a person who speaks in English, and you have relatives who live in Warsaw or in other big cities, then you might consider doing that, because I had, it's a thing. I don't know someone who has done it. Sometimes you are just lucky. Like I told you, I was very insistent on the hospital that I really wanted to go to. And guess what? Apart from my experience being so amazing, I even got my own private room. Like after giving birth, both before and after, I got my own private room. So it had the bathroom, the washroom, everything was there inside. Like literally, I probably needed just to get out to go use the kitchen once in a while. But yeah, and I did not pay extra. I don't know. I think I was just lucky because another friend gave birth there and she did not get a private room. So I guess I was just lucky. And another thing, you also need to make sure you check the hospital time for visitors, so that when you're communicating to your friends and family, they know and they can come and visit you and bring you meals in case you don't like the hospital meals, or like they can come and stay with the baby while you rest. So some hospitals have visiting time until 8 p.m. My hospital had until 6 p.m. So you also need to be wary of such information. Based on the stories that we have had from the different moms, there are practical steps that we can also copy, which is the same ones that we mentioned earlier. Visit the hospital before giving birth. You need to ask about communication, pain relief, working rules, partner staying overnight, neonatal levels, epidural availability, and all the registration needs. You also need to do a small labor ward tour, and it will tell you everything you need to know about the hospital and if this is what you actually want to go ahead with. Like I mentioned the first time, and I also mention again, ask moms around you, ask moms on Facebook, or go to Google, read the reviews, just ask. Because I might have had a good experience, someone else might have had a bad experience, and you can compare the both experiences and see exactly what outweighs what, which is the option that is best for you, and what are you gonna run with. So make sure you ask for recommendations from other moms, and also your medical practitioner, your midwife, your gyna, your doula. This information is very helpful, especially from experienced people. And from the stories, we also had the importance of matching the hospital with the birth experience that you want. So make sure that if you want a natural birth, you look for midwife-led units. If you want a flexible or epidural birth, look for hospitals with very strong anesthesia terms. And also, if you are having a high risk pregnancy, you look for a hospital with a very good neonatal care unit. And lastly, but most importantly, trust your intuition. What your intuition tells you, go with it. If your intuition tells you the hospital that is 30 kilometers away is where I feel safe, please, my dear, go there. For me, I was very specific, even when I moved districts, because the hospital that I picked was literally 15 minutes by public transport. But then I moved somewhere where it was almost like 45 minutes by public transport. So I knew that if I take an Uber, it will take me 15 minutes, 10 minutes to get to that place. My intuition was like, this, if I'm not giving birth here, I'm not giving birth anywhere else. So I even made sure that I was like timing in case my labor starts directly to that hospital before I'm taken to a hospital that I don't want to go to. So now we have chosen our hospital. What are the next steps? What do we do next? Number one, check if registration is needed. Number two, make sure you have the hospital emergency number. Number 3, make sure your hospital bag is prepared. We will talk about this in our next video. Number 4, make sure you have your birth plan if you're a birth plan person. Number 5, make sure you ask your doctor what is required, and also you have all your tests that you've taken throughout your pregnancy with you, because you are gonna need this. Make sure all your documents are together and you have everything in place, ready to go and ready to be used in case it's a surprise labor. That's it for today, and I hope this video helps you make your decision much more easier. The next video will be how to plan the kind of birth that you want. You know what I mean? We're going to deep dive on how to make a birth plan so that it's not overly complicated, and what are the most important things that you should include in your birth plan so that your heart and your preferences can be respected. If you want to feel more prepared, or if you want your mom friend near you to feel more prepared, make sure to be on the lookout for the next video. If you find this very helpful, please give it a like and a thumbs up so that other moms can be able to find the video, and also it can be useful to them. If you've already chosen a hospital, please let me know in the comments what made you choose that hospital. And if you have given birth in Poland, also share your experiences so that it can help other moms who are also feeling lost and can help them make a decision. Remember to subscribe for the rest of the remaining part of this series about motherhood, pregnancy, and giving birth in Poland. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.